Welcome to Season 2 of the Dr. Nikki Starr Show, a podcast to support you in your spiritual awakening and personal development. As a spiritual teacher, healer, and intuitive coach, my intention is to empower you to live your ultimate potential and your ultimate life. As a former medical doctor and mystic, my role is to bridge the gap between science and spirituality to support you in understanding more of your multidimensional aspects. I share on a diverse range of topics, and it's all to support your greatest becoming. My mission is to continue reaching millions of people for the healing and awakening of humankind for the creation of the new earth. Thank you for being here. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Dr. Nikki Starr Show. I'm Dr. Nikki Starr, your host, and today we are going to be talking about mantras and spiritual practice and how it can support you in your spiritual advancement with more ease and grace. And so sometimes, whether you're a novice or a beginner or wherever you are in your spiritual journey, mantras are a really easy way to have and create shifts in your being and in your life without having to do that much. So I'm going to be sharing about the technology of what mantras are. I'm currently working with a Kali mantra. So there are mantras connected to different deities and divinities, and Kali is a goddess. And I have a program and offer called 40 Days with Kali, and it's creating waves. I'm on day 20. I started the experience the experience is in day 16, and really you can start at any time. You just start from day 1. And it has created so much change in my life that I was like, I need to let people know about this more. And it's done everything from cause me to change my team to leave my relationship, to start a new business with the Healy, to open up and expand into a community of so many people and then heal things that I've never even touched before. So finding new practitioners and working with homeopathy, working with quantum sounds, quantum frequencies. It's just opened my world and shifted things around. And that's the power of a mantra. It is essentially a word or multiple words, multiple syllables, and there can be all lengths of mantras. There can even be 2-word mantras. There can be 1-word mantras. There can be 15-syllable mantras. There's no limit. And generally a mantra is done, the traditional ones are done in sacred languages, like Sanskrit, for example. And the reason why it's done in a sacred language is that language is not tainted. It doesn't have curse words. It is very holy. It's only used for prayer time. So it holds a higher vibration. So by you speaking the mantra, you're also vibrating your mouth, and there's energy centers in your mouth. So when you do a mantra practice, you repeat the mantra over and over, like Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha, right? And that's a mantra for compassion. There's mantras to remove obstacles, like the Gayatri mantra. That one's longer, like Om Burbu Vaspaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bargo Devasya Dhimai Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayat, right? So that one's much longer, and that one's known to remove obstacles. So there's one like one's connected to all the different divinities and deities in the Hindu, I don't want to say religion, I would say like spiritual path, as well as the Buddhist spiritual path. And even transcendental meditation, you get a mantra that you repeat. So a mantra practice is also a meditation practice, because you are focusing on repeating the mantra over and over and over again. And the definition of a meditation is when you focus your attention and you focus your mind on a one point of focus. So that's why you can have sitting stillness meditations, but you're always focused on something because you're training the mind to shut off that monkey mind so that you can be in control of your mind instead of it taking you in all these directions and causing anxiety or whatever it might do. And so a mantra practice is also a meditation practice, but it also has energy infused into it based on the meaning of the mantra. So in the Kali mantra, it's all about destroying and dissolving negative ego. It's about clearing out the parts of ourselves, upgrading, I should say, the parts of ourselves that are not in integrity, that are not in alignment with our greatest becoming, our greatest spiritual advancement. And it's about illuminating even more truth, love, and light. And so that would make sense where anything in my life that is not in highest alignment will dissolve and rearrange. And I'm loving working with it. It also brings up so many emotions. And specifically Kali she's kind of like the goddess of war. I mean, really how I know her to be is like, she kills unconsciousness and she has no mercy. And so she's even depicted with like a necklace of skulls. And so she has this strong boundary, these strong standards, and she will not tolerate anything less than the highest consciousness. And of course, for me, someone who's on my spiritual awakening, spiritual advancement path for over a decade, I've always been hungry for even more advancement, ascension, transformation, personal development. I am here to live my ultimate potential, my ultimate life on my highest potential timeline. So whatever's not in alignment with that, I'm happy to say goodbye to, because I want my highest destiny to manifest. And I know that will bring me the highest happiness. And so at the start of the Kali mantra, my life that is not in highest alignment, please dissolve away. And when we work with mantras, it's really like grace. Like you don't know how it's going to happen, but it's going to happen. The intention is set and the work will start to be done because energies are influencing everyone and everything simultaneously, and all of life is a co-creation. So when you're doing mantra, it's like you're creating this force field around yourself to bring to you the events that are in alignment with the mantra and to clear out what is not. And ultimately, all mantras are serving your highest potential, your greatest becoming. But of course, you can get specific and work on different aspects of yourself, different aspects of your life, depending on which one you choose. And you can feel called to different ones at different times in your life, and all of that is perfect. And what I love about it is even if you're a beginner, or even if you're advanced on your practice, or even if you do other kind of spirituality, it still works and is really easy. So essentially, because the technology of the mantra is to say it 108 times for 40 days. So there is like a math to it. It's somewhat of a science. So if you're watching the video version of my podcast, you can see I'm holding a mala. And a mala is, if you don't know what it is, it's essentially like a necklace that has 108 beads on it. If you are Christian or Catholic, it's kind of like a rosary. It helps you keep track instead of your prayer. And in a way, when you think of Christianity or Catholicism, and there's the prayers, and you say the prayers, like you say a Hail Mary 3 times, or you say a Hail Mary 100 times, whatever you do, it's the same, but you're saying that as your mantra, for example. But I find that the English language is somewhat tainted and has been rearranged over time, and we have curse words, and we can say, like, there's innuendos, and depending on where you are, there's slang for different things. Whereas when you're saying a mantra from a sacred language, it's quite pure, and the vibrations and such are universal. So it even goes above the language differences of different countries. And when I mean above, I mean it transcends it, because it's language for all. It's so ancient. It even comes like before a lot of the other languages. And why 108 times? So they say there's 108 energy lines that form together from the body to create the heart chakra. And also in terms of masculine and feminine, Shiva and Shakti, there's 54 lines for each. So times 2 is 108. Also, 9 is a completion number, and it's 9 times 12. So there's many and 9 is a complete cycle. Like there's 9 major meridians, even in Chinese medicine for humans, and probably with all the different systems. So it makes sense, like on this science level, like why is there 108? It's like you're saying it for each one of those energy lines. And why 40 days? Well, 40 days has a significance across many spiritualities, many religions. It's very mystical. And if you know about the Bible, it's like Moses spent 40 days on the mountain. Jesus went to the desert for 40 days. Even the resurrection time was 40 days. I believe Muhammad also went on his pilgrimage for 40 days. So if you look throughout all of the spiritual, ancient, mystical texts, 40 days is the number. Same thing in Chinese medicine. 40 days, even postpartum, it's best for women to be more in bed for 40 days after giving birth, because this helps the body to repair itself. So I feel that it has to do with both the physiologic and the energetics of humans to form a new habit, to recreate a new energy flow. And it's like a point of it's like a completion cycle, 40 days for humans. And essentially you just commit every day at any time. You could pick the same place and the same time. Oftentimes that works quite well for people. So, right when you wake up, you do it, or right before you go to bed, you do it. And in the 40 days of Kali, I do it at different times. But no matter what, every single day I go live for 40 days and I share wisdom and insights. Because the other thing is, it's nice to have support or to listen to talk from a spiritual lens, from a spiritual perspective, because you're definitely going to go through things. You're going to go through changes. Like even this one woman was interested in joining yesterday, and she told me, well, I'm scared of change, just like I'm scared of death. And I said, well, if you're not happy with your life, why fear change? Because change could be the very thing that brings you exactly what you desire that you haven't yet manifested yet. And you're disappointed that you haven't manifested yet. But if you just take the time to purify with the mantra and rearrange the things that are out of alignment, you're going to absolutely call whatever it is in that you want with more ease and grace. And so that's the intention, is to provide easy spiritual practices. And I feel like mantra practices are so easy. They're so easy. You just pick one, you say it for 40 days, 108 times a day, and boom, you're done. And it serves as both your meditation time, your healing time. It's definitely energy healing and energy work for sure. You're connecting to divine energies, and you're so divinely supported, I feel, when you work with a mantra, which is why things align in such a beautiful way. And what I had like crazy things happen where information came to me so synchronistically, and I trust it's because of the container of Kali. And even my Healy was being delivered to me, and it fell off the UPS truck in front of someone's house. They opened it, saw the invoice, my number was on it, and called me. Like, what are the chances? I feel so supported. Like, they could have just kept it. They could have just been like, oh, we don't know who this is, tried to return it to UPS, and that could have turned into a whole thing. But just the fact, like, I feel that when we work with these mantras, we become so divinely supported, so divinely connected for everything to happen with even more ease and grace. And so if you are thinking like, okay, I kind of want to deepen spiritually, I want kind of the next thing that can really create a shift or create some spiritual advancement. Now, I will say beware, because it will shift things for sure, but in a good way. But it may create some challenges and maybe even some suffering if you're resisting. So I can actually thank one of my clients, or a former client. She used to do this Kali mantra a bunch of times when we were working together over 2.5 years. And whenever she would do the mantra, we would have like so much more content for coaching and healing. But every single time she like rose to like an exponential level.
like she had, and she used it very practically, like her life transformed even in her practical businesses because of the mantra. So for example, she opened up 3 clinics, and one of the clinic that was furthest from her home in one of the bigger cities in Canada was not doing so well. And there was an aspect of her that was resisting conflict or avoiding any kind of confrontation. And the Kali mantra really helped her come more into her power, because Kali is a lot about boundaries and that power energy and that strength. She's very strong, she's like a warrior goddess. And with the mantra, during the mantra time, we really took time to refine and look at all the systems that were in place and what wasn't working in that clinic. And by the end of the 40 days, and I even said it to her, I'm like, I bet you this is all happening because this is going to be your biggest grossing clinic. Like, I know it's challenging right now, but if you just get through this and you make these changes and you shift what's not working and you do all the work, I guarantee you. And guess what? It became her highest grossing clinic. And so it's fascinating to see how it actually translates in the real world for success when you work with the mantras, because whatever we shift on the inside, we shift on the outside. So it's just a hologram. So wherever there's not truth, there's shadow, there's avoidant patterns, there's aspects of you that are not serving, it's going to show up in your life through some kind of manifestation. And the moment you heal that and come into greater alignment and rise to your ultimate potential, then you're going to see the results in your everyday 3D life. And so I can't stress it enough. I really invite you to come into the 40 days of Kali, and you can start your 40 days at any time. It's going to be an evergreen program. Of course, the sooner you start, you can even catch me live in there, but it doesn't matter because the live energy translates across time and space. So whether you start, if you're listening to this in a year's time from when this is recorded, or 3 years time, or even right on the day that it was recorded, you will still be able to receive all the benefits as if you started from the beginning. You just start from day one and then you go forward through all the 40 days. And so with that, I invite you to get curious about mantras, start working with them. And where you can even start in an easy way is also just, if you're not ready to go heavy and if you're not ready, because I always say the mantra path is for the brave. It's for the courageous of heart. It's not for the faint of heart, because things are going to rearrange and it's not always going to be in your control, but it's going to be beautiful and it's going to be worth it for sure. And so what I invite you to do is even just start listening to mantra music. There's mantras from many different lineages. You can find Kundalini mantras. You can find the mantras from the Hindu spiritual path, from the Buddhist spiritual path. They are so powerful in supporting us in living our highest potential and even just creating good energy in the space. So that's another option for you. But I'd love to see you inside 40 Days of Kali. I'd love to support you on your journey. And so with that, we'll post the link in the show notes. I send you so much love. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Dr. Nikki Starr Show. Please like this podcast and share it with anyone you feel would benefit. Subscribe to the podcast to receive bonus content. And remember, every Monday, the video version goes live on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for being on the Ascension Path with me and for doing this great work. Sending love until next time.